In this exercise, we need to calculate and find the missing values indicated in the peach color. That's our requirement. And we are given the following information regarding NIC enterprises. The first thing we have are some journal entries that were processed during the year, and then some additional information. The first step is to record these journal entries in our cost flow diagrams. The $80,000 increases work in process. The next journal entry, we have purchases of raw materials of $1,057,000. In the next journal entry, we have $1,520,000 transferred out of work in process and into finished goods. And then finally, $1,460,000 moving out of finished goods into cost of goods sold. We're told that this entry does not include any under or over applied overhead, and that any over or under applied overhead we will close off to cost of goods sold. We'll hold on to that. We're told that it amounts to 2% of the applied overhead, and that we apply overhead on the basis of direct labor hours, or cost rather. Let's go ahead and pick up the additional information down here. The work in process ending balance on September 30th was 125% of the beginning balance. So I'll make note of that information on our cost flow diagram. We're told the direct materials ending inventory balance was $25,000 less than the beginning balance, and that's an important one. So $25,000 less than the beginning balance. So our beginning balance, we don't know it, and we won't be told it. And we're told our ending balance is our beginning balance minus $25,000. So if our inventory goes down by $25,000, that means we must have used more than we purchased. We purchased $1,057,000. We used that much plus an additional $25,000. So our usages of raw materials was $1,082,000. And of course that comes into work in process. Continuing on, the finished goods beginning balance, beginning inventory balance on September 1, the beginning of the month, was $148,000. So there we have the $148,000 for beginning finished goods. Our income statement shows revenues of $2,300,000 and a gross profit of $850,000. Let's go ahead and record the $2.3 million, calculate our gross profit, 2.3 minus $1,460,000. That gives us a gross profit of $840,000, but we're told that our gross profit is $850,000. That means we have to do something to do what? Make our cost of goods sold go down by $10,000. Thus, our entry to close out manufacturing overhead would be a debit to manufacturing overhead for $10,000 and a credit to cost of goods sold, because again, we want cost of goods sold to go down by $10,000. We want it to be reduced to $1,450. So this is telling us that at the end of the year, we must have had over applied manufacturing overhead of $10,000. Now we can make use of the note here that said the amount of over or under applied overhead was 2% of the overhead applied for September. So we can figure out the applied overhead by simply taking our 10,000 and dividing it by 0.02, and we can see applied overhead was $500,000. And again, applied overhead will flow into work in process, and that means that our actual manufacturing overhead had to have been $490,000. In terms of our predetermined overhead rate, we apply overhead on the basis of direct labor costs. So our unknown rate times an actual activity level, which was our labor cost of $80,000. So something times 80,000 equaled 500,000. So we can back into our predetermined overhead rate. We'll take our 500,000 in applied overhead, divide it by the activity level, and we get a predetermined overhead rate of $6.25. We still have two empty cells, ending finished goods and beginning, or actually three, and ending work in process. Let's go with finished goods. We know both sides of our box have to equal each other. So we've got 1,668,000 on the right-hand side. Sorry, left-hand side. We'll need it on the right. And so if we take our 1,668 minus the goods transferred out, that gives us an ending finished goods inventory of 208,000. Finally, we're going to have to apply a little bit of algebra to solve our final problem here. We know both sides of our work in process box have to equal. So our beginning balance, which we don't know what it is yet, plus direct materials, plus direct labor, plus applied overhead, has to equal cost of goods manufactured and our ending inventory. Algebraically, we have the following equation. Beginning inventory plus direct materials plus direct labor plus applied overhead has to equal cost of goods manufactured times 1.25 beginning inventory. We subtract beginning inventory from each side, and we've got 0.25 beginning inventory on the right, and we've got this term on the left, which we can simplify, and we get 142,000 equals 0.25 times the beginning inventory. And finally, dividing through by 0.25, we get beginning inventory of $568,000. So we record $568,000 for beginning inventory, and our ending inventory is the $568,000 times 1.25, and as our final proof, we'll sum both sides of the box. We have $2,230,000 of cost to account for, and we find we've accounted for the full $2,230,000 in costs.